You probably know the story. Pierre Omidyar created eBay to help his fiancée collect Pez candy dispensers. It's a great story. It's also completely made up. The real story of how eBay began, and what it actually proved, is far more interesting. Pierre Omidyar was born on June 21, 1967, in Paris, France. His parents were Iranian. His father, Cyrus, was completing medical training in France before joining Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland, as a surgeon. His mother, Elahe, earned a doctorate in linguistics from the Sorbonne. Pierre grew up in Maryland in a household where education and ideas were the currency. As a teenager, he became obsessed with computers, not as a career ambition, but as a genuine intellectual interest. He would regularly skip physical education class to use the school's computers. Rather than punish him, the school principal hired him to write a program to catalog the library's books. $6 an hour. His first paid coding job at age 14. He graduated from Tufts University in 1988 with a degree in computer science, went to work building Macintosh software, spent time at Apple's subsidiary Claris, and in 1991 co-founded a startup called Ink Development, later renamed eShop, that was eventually bought by Microsoft. That sale gave him his first $1 million. By 1995, Omidyar was working at a company called General Magic. He was financially comfortable, intellectually restless, and increasingly preoccupied with a specific question. Could the internet enable ordinary people to buy and sell directly with each other, without a corporation or middleman controlling the transaction? Over Labor Day weekend in September 1995, working from his home in San Jose, he sat down and wrote the code to find out. He called it Auction Web. It was one section of his personal website. He had no business plan, no investors, no staff. The first item listed for sale was his own broken laser pointer. It sold for $14.83. Puzzled, Omidyar emailed the buyer. Did he realize the laser pointer was broken? The reply was simple. The buyer said he was a collector of broken laser pointers. That reply changed everything. In that moment, Omidyar understood what he had built. It wasn't an auction site, it was a connection engine. Given enough buyers and enough sellers, a market exists for practically anything. The question was never whether there was demand for unusual items. It was whether you could find the buyer. Auction Web could find the buyer. Word spread. By the end of 1996, Auction Web had hosted 250,000 auctions. In January of 1997 alone, a single month, it hosted 2 million. The revenue Omidyar was collecting from transaction fees exceeded his salary at General Magic. He quit his day job. But Omidyar had a problem that was bigger than the technology. In 1995, sending money to a stranger on the internet was considered an act of extraordinary naivety, if not outright foolishness. You had no way to know if the seller was honest, if the item matched the description, or if you'd ever receive what you paid for. Without trust, no marketplace could function. Omidyar's solution was elegantly simple. He built a public feedback system. After every transaction, buyers and sellers would rate each other, positive, neutral, or negative, and those ratings would be permanently visible to everyone. Every user would carry a public reputation score, built transaction by transaction. Dishonest sellers would be exposed. Honest ones would be rewarded with more business. The community would police itself. The results were remarkable. Omidyar gathered data and found that of every 1 million transactions on eBay, only 30 cases of fraud were reported. Not 1%. Not 0.1%. 30 cases in a million. His founding belief, that people were basically good, was validated by the numbers. This feedback system was not just an eBay innovation. It became the template for trust in the entire digital economy. Airbnb ratings, Uber driver scores, Amazon Marketplace seller reviews, Etsy shop ratings. Every reputation system in the modern sharing economy traces directly back to eBay's feedback forum. In September 1997, Omidyar renamed Auction Web. He wanted to call it Echo Bay, after his consulting firm and a recreation area near Lake Mead in Nevada. He just thought it sounded cool. When he discovered that echobay.com was already registered to a Canadian gold mining company, he dropped the CHO, and eBay.com was born. That same year, Beanie Babies, the small plush toys that were impossible to find in retail stores, became a sensation. Collectors discovered eBay. At the peak of the Beanie Baby craze, they accounted for 10% of all eBay listings. The 1998 annual report actually cited dependence on the Beanie Babies market as a business risk. It was also proof that the marketplace model worked for almost any category of goods. In March 1998, Omidyar made one of the most important decisions of his career. He hired Meg Whitman, a Harvard MBA, an experienced executive from Hasbro and FTD, as CEO. Then he stepped back. He was an engineer, she was an operator. The combination worked. In September 1998, eBay went public on NASDAQ. Shares were priced at $18. On the first day of trading, the stock closed above $53, nearly tripling. The market capitalization reached nearly $1.9 billion. Omidyar became a billionaire at age 31. Whitman spent the next decade scaling eBay from 30 employees and $4.7 million in annual revenue to 15,000 employees and $8 billion in annual revenue. One of the most remarkable corporate growth stories in history. By 2002, eBay had solved the trust problem. But payment was still a friction point. How exactly did you safely send money to a stranger in another state or another country? The answer already existed. PayPal, founded in 1998, had built a digital payments platform that let anyone send money by email. By the time eBay acquired PayPal on October 3, 2002, over 70% of all eBay auctions were already accepting PayPal. eBay paid $1.5 billion in stock for the company. Critics questioned the price. Within years, PayPal was worth many times that. In 2015, eBay spun off PayPal as a separate public company. Today, PayPal operates in over 200 countries with more than 300 million users. eBay had solved trust. PayPal solved payments. Together, they built the complete infrastructure for stranger-to-stranger commerce, the foundation on which the entire modern e-commerce economy was built. Harold Evans, in his book They Made America, used the word democratizer for innovators who took something previously available only to the privileged and made it available to everyone. Before eBay, reaching a national or global market required a shop, a distributor, or a newspaper classified ad. Only businesses could do it. eBay changed that permanently. Every collector, every craftsperson, every person cleaning out their garage suddenly had access to a global marketplace of buyers. Millions of people built full-time businesses from their homes. This was democratization in the most literal sense. Equal access to the market, for everyone. 3 lessons from Pierre Omidyar's story. First, technology can engineer trust. Omidyar didn't just build an auction site. He built a trust system. The feedback loop solved a problem that seemed genuinely unsolvable, making strangers reliable to each other at scale. The technology served a human need, that ordering matters. Second, the best marketplaces are neutral platforms. eBay never owned the goods it sold. It owned only the rules. By staying asset-light and neutral, it scaled without limits, survived the dot-com crash, and adapted to any category of goods. The platform model, not the product model, is what made eBay durable for 30 years. Third, experiments often beat business plans. Omidyar didn't write a strategy document. He ran an experiment on his personal website over a holiday weekend and paid close attention to what happened. A broken laser pointer sold for $14.83. He asked why. The answer built a billion-dollar company. He didn't set out to build a billion-dollar company. He set out to answer a question. Could strangers trust each other enough to do business? The answer built one of the most transformative marketplaces in history. Thank you for joining us for episode 13. Our next episode is Russell Simmons, the man who took hip-hop from the streets of New York and turned it into a global business empire, proving that an entire culture could become a market. Until then, stay curious.